G'day, I'm Malcolm Douglas and I'm all ready for another trip. Now this time I'm going to drive right round Australia, but I'm not going to follow the conventional road, that's highway number 1, the sealed highway. I'm going to follow the dirt as much as possible. As soon as I leave Sydney, it's up to Fraser Island, then north to the Cape York Peninsula, then across to the Northern Territory through the Gulf Country, then west over to the Kimberley and down to the Hamersley Ranges, then south all the way down to the southwest of Western Australia, then east again across the Nullarbor all the way back to Sydney. It's a long trip, around about 4 to 5 months. So let's get going.
Thirteen 1,300 kilometres north of Sydney comes Malcolm's first chance to get off the bitumen and onto the Fraser Island ferry for a few days on the largest sand island in the world. In the 70s, a major battle was fought here between sand miners and conservationists. Today, the 120-kilometre long island has World Heritage listing. The island can be traversed only in four-wheel drive, and vehicular access is permitted to many of the beaches. It's best to head out to the many scenic attractions at low tide, when the sand at the water's edge is hard, and with the tyres deflated, it's easy going. Fraser was formed over millions of years when prevailing winds and tides piled up the sand that eroded from the mainland and washed along the coast. This huge island supports a rich and varied environment, from its tall timber rainforest to its unique lakes and inquisitive wildlife. The dingoes on Fraser Island are said to be the purest strain of the species in eastern Australia. Isolated from the influence of domestic breeds, there's a healthy population of these magnificent wild dogs. It's a memorable experience to see them emerge at dawn to patrol the beach. But the dingoes have learnt to associate humans with food, and the authorities have had to warn visitors not to feed them. It's a difficult rule to enforce when the dogs can easily dig up rubbish buried by campers. Dingoes naturally feed on small mammals and reptiles and wild fruits. This healthy, balanced diet is far better for the wild dogs than the leftovers of humans. They scavenge for old bait left by fishermen and scraps thrown away when the day's catch is cleaned. As more and more people visit Fraser Island, human interference could become a serious problem for the survival of the dingoes.
One of the great things about Fraser Island is that on the eastern side here, all along the beach, you can camp. There are a few areas where you can't, but generally speaking, there's plenty of water, and you can just get in off the sand behind the casuarinas and you have a good night's sleep.
It takes a few days to explore such a large island. A well-known landmark on the east coast is the wreck of the Maheno. In 1935, this famous trans-Tasman liner, bound for the scrapyards of Japan, was hit by a cyclone and blown onto the beach. North from the Maheno are the cathedrals, eroded cliffs of multicoloured sand, sculptured by the elements into one of the most impressive natural features of Fraser. This island is one of Queensland's most prolific fishing spots, where the surf provides good angling all year round, and bait's easy to find at low tide.
When you're driving along the beach and you see these little heaps of sand, well, that's a sure sign you're going to get pippies. Now, these pippies, you can boil them up and make a good soup, and they're also great bait for catching fish in the surf.
Throughout much of the island's interior are stands of tall rainforest. Despite its sandy foundation, a rich flora has adapted remarkably well to the poor soils. Once heavily logged, Fraser Island has been saved by new attitudes to conservation, and today lies protected within the Great Sandy National Park. Fraser Island is famous for its freshwater lakes. Not only beautiful, they have unique scientific and ecological value. Early next morning, Malcolm waits at the southern end for the ferry back to the mainland, and the 1,500-kilometre run up the bitumen to North Queensland. Two days later, he drives through the sugarcane belt north of Cairns, heading for the Daintree River and Cape Tribulation, one of Australia's most popular tourist destinations. The Daintree River ferry provides all too easy access into some of the most luxuriant lowland tropical rainforest in the world. The river has always been a natural barrier to development and large-scale land clearance, but interest in the tropical wilderness from investors and real estate speculators has put immense pressure on the region. Sections of the rainforest were World Heritage listed in the 80s and given some protection. But the real threat now is tourism. Thousands of travellers a week enter the wilderness along the road that was bulldozed through in the face of bitter opposition. Most of the tourists are on day trips from Cairns, and their first stop is the beach of the Bouncing Rocks. The rock's so fine-grained and hard that, like children's glass marbles, it deflects energy instead of absorbing it. This is now an Aboriginal site of significance, and since early 1993, visitors have been excluded from the beach. Beyond Cape Tribulation, there are fewer travellers, and the road runs beneath a canopy of lush green vegetation, where a diverse range of plants flourish in constant warmth and humidity. Even today, after years of controversy and debate, large tracts of this national treasure, Australia's largest surviving tropical rainforest, remain unprotected against development. All the way to Cooktown, the forest spills down the ranges to sandy beaches, where coconut palms sway in the sea breeze. The road climbs over the Great Divide and past Black Mountain, a huge heap of loose granite boulders stained black over millions of years by a thick coating of algae. Moody Black Mountain, ominous and forbidding in the changing light, has been the subject of many myths. There are fantastic stories of people who disappeared into crevices and chasms, attempting to climb to the top. A few kilometres away on the banks of the Endeavour River is Cooktown. It was here that the English navigator Captain James Cook careened his ship for urgent repair in 1770, when it was severely damaged on the Great Barrier Reef. 100 years later, the town bearing his name was settled to service the miners flocking to the gold rush on Cape York. Today, this historic little town caters to a new breed of seekers, tourists and travellers, setting off for the journey to the very top of Australia.
From Cooktown, we're going to leave the east coast and the tropical rainforest and head west across the Cape York Peninsula. We're not going to drive all the way to the tip of Australia and then back again, because that's, well, it's upwards about 500 or 600 kilometres and back, so that's another trip. We're going to drive over the Great Divide, and you leave the tropical rainforest very quickly because the Great Dividing Range acts like a rain shadow on the western side, so we get into the savanna woodlands, and from here virtually all the way now right through to the Northern Territory will be on the dirt roads and the dusty roads and the bull dust, and occasionally quite a good gravel road.
The road carrying most of the traffic north to Cape York is now well maintained. But on the western side of the peninsula, tracks leading to the Aboriginal communities deteriorate into endless kilometres of bull dust that envelops the Toyota. These conditions are hard on vehicle and driver, and an air conditioner in the cabin is vital. The extra air pressure prevents the talc-fine dust being sucked inside. Hence this ritual when the rear doors open to stop dust getting into precious camera equipment. and every day the sun sets through a veil of dust. It's late in the dry season, and the land is thirsty for rain. Wild animals and cattle share the drying waterholes. As the days grow hotter, timid, agile wallabies, forced from the safety of the bush, come down to drink at midday. And even at play, they're constantly on the lookout for predatory dingoes. When the water level drops, the weaker cattle bog and perish in the intense heat. And even though it's a desperate measure, winching's the only way to get them out. This cow's been too long in the mud, and she's unable to stand. It'll be hours before she manages to scramble to her feet.
Come on. Come on, boy. Come on. Bunny.
Throughout many of the fringe areas of Australia, the introduction of domestic animals has caused serious ecological damage. Natural waterholes capable of supporting small numbers of native animals are damaged and seriously depleted by cattle and sheep. Properties that pump water into troughs for the bigger animals are successfully relieving the pressure on wild populations.
Listen up there, old girl. Come on. Sit there. You'll be all right. Stop that.
Nearby, another beast, with more condition, might have a better chance.
Run him. Come behind. Come behind.
Brolgers congregate in huge, noisy flocks, staying close to any water that's still available. When the rains arrive, they'll disperse to breed out on the plains. The track ends at the Aboriginal community of Pompera on the west coast of Cape York Peninsula, at the biggest saltwater crocodile farm in Australia. It's an awesome spectacle as thousands of crocodiles feed on wild pig. Crocodile farming has been instrumental in saving vast areas of the northern wetlands. The swamps provide eggs and breeding stock for a new industry that will employ the local indigenous people and ensure the survival of these prehistoric animals. When the biggest and oldest crocodile on the farm turns up, the others keep well clear. Although he's recently lost his last set of teeth, at 5 metres in length, his sheer size and weight guarantee that he's still the boss, even if his table manners are far from perfect. Across the coastal plains south of the community roam mobs of wild pig. Hunters catch them for crocodile food and for sale to Germany, where wild boar is gourmet fare. Graham Fox and Ron Cummings are professional pig hunters, spending months at a time in the bush hunting these dangerous vermin.
You might take a lot of pigs up there yet, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, you got to go a long way for these pigs, eh?
Yeah, usually a pretty good run, 30, 40 k's.
You go out, yeah, chase them.
Yeah, check water holes.
Pretty dangerous work.
Oh, yeah?
Hey, if you haven't got a tusk in the leg or anything yet, eh?
No, not yet.
Well, how do you protect the dogs?
Leather breastplates.
What's that, that's that big collar you see on them, yeah. That's to stop the tusk, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A good pig dog is a valuable member of the team. The men make an individual breastplate for each animal, and the thick leather protects the dog's throat when a trap pig lashes out with razor-sharp tusks. The men hunt in the early morning and late afternoon. When a pig's spotted, the dogs run it down and a long-bladed knife quickly dispatches it. It's believed that these pigs are descended from a small mob that escaped when Captain Cook careened his boat in the Endeavour River. There are few occupations more dangerous. Once the dogs have a pig down, it must be killed, and there's always the chance of being ripped by the tusks or badly bitten in the chaos. The hunters are superbly fit. They run with the dogs, then drag the carcasses back through the bush to the Toyota.
Yes, baby. With the vehicle loaded, it's straight back to camp
and into the mobile freezer. The lungs and heart are left in the carcass to be checked by inspectors from the Department of Agriculture, and the meat passed for human consumption. Feral pigs are declared vermin and cause major environmental damage, so exporting the meat to Germany is a way of controlling their numbers. European restaurateurs will accept only the big mature animals with a rich, gamey flavour. Immature pigs are sold to Pompera to feed the crocodiles. Graham and Ron bed down for a midday camp. At 3 o'clock, they'll head out bush again, hunting pigs late into the night. Malcolm takes advantage of the abundant supply of warm bore water. And then it's into the Cape York bull dust again, on the road south to Normanton. From Cape York through the Gulf of Carpentaria is cattle country, and these big Brahman bulls contesting their position in the mob are descended from animals imported from India. They tolerate the heat well and are resistant to tick infestation. Brahmans thrive in these harsh tropical conditions. Within a month, when the monsoons arrive, these barren plains will lie a metre underwater. To the north, after months of cloudless skies, the first hint of an early wet season. At the western end of the Gulf is Normanton. Once a rough frontier town, it's now a solid little community, servicing the needs of the cattle stations, locals and travellers. The Purple Pub is the town's popular meeting place and watering hole. Malcolm moves on across the black soil plains towards the Northern Territory. The first threatening storm sweeps in, encircling Malcolm so quickly he barely has time to boil the billy. Grabbing a few photos of the dramatic spectacle, he pushes on. Within minutes, the dry creeks flood and the roads awash. Over the next 24 hours, only 200 kilometres is covered. As the storms dissipate, the day ends in a magical display. The sunrise is even more spectacular. Under clear skies, Malcolm heads for the coast in search of mud crabs. He quickly assembles his boat. This practical piece of equipment is ideal for the round Australia traveller who uses a dinghy only occasionally. The seats lock into place, making the craft rigid, and a 4-horsepower Johnson outboard provides ample power.
This mangrove creek behind me looks a pretty good place for a few muddies, a few mud crabs. Got a bit of barramundi here I can use for bait, an old head, so I'll go and see what I can find. Bonnie, come on. Bo, you better come. That's a girl, sit there. Good girl. Good girl.
An hour later, Malcolm collects the pots, and it's soon obvious that in these isolated Gulf rivers, there are plenty of crabs.
Too many mud crabs. What a problem. So I'll get rid of any of the undersized ones, any of the females, let them go, and the rest will be just perfect for tea. When you pick a mud crab up, there's two ways of doing it. It's either if he's a bit tired, you can grab him by the nippers, or if he's fresh, you get him on the shell and very quickly you grab him on his two rear swimming flippers and he can't bite you. Any other way, watch out.
Normally, their nippers would have to be tied, but these will be eaten almost immediately, so it's straight into the bag.
Go on.
Moving on, Malcolm makes good time to the Northern Territory border.
We're definitely still in the outback. This is the border between Queensland and the Northern Territory. Queensland behind me, no signs apart from somebody's litter bag on the fence there saying Queensland border. 200 or 300 metres down the road there I can see, welcome to the Northern Territory.
Intermittent thunderstorms and fast-flowing creeks are a constant reminder that before long, these roads will be impassable. Further east, well into the Northern Territory, there's no sign of the monsoons, and the birds are looking for water. Since the arrival of Europeans, many of the bird species have benefited from water supplied for stock. Seed-eating birds, like these galahs and corellas, need water regularly. Scavenging crows pick insects out of the cattle dung. Still travelling close to the coast, Malcolm's keen to try for a barramundi. He borrows a big aluminium boat from a local cattle station because dangerous saltwater crocs are a problem in this area. Several hours trolling, and he's rewarded with a nice-sized barra. A few days later, Malcolm's back on the bitumen, the Stewart Highway near Darwin. He stops to check out the scattered debris of a recent accident. Watermelons destined for the southern markets. Most are rotting in the tropical heat, but there's still a few good ones left.
One man's loss is another man's gain. Lovely and sweet. Here, Bon, here, up. Here, come on. How's that? Good?
There's only one problem with finding so many watermelons. You can't take them all with you. The next day, Malcolm and Bonnie stopped for a drink of water, a regular ritual on these hot northern days. But this day is different, for this is the last film of Bonnie alive. That night, beside the Stewart Highway, Malcolm stopped to boil the billy and roll out his swag. In the darkness, Bonnie found an illegally laid dingo bait and died within minutes from 1080 poisoning. In part 2 of his Round Australia adventure, Malcolm explores the wetlands east of Darwin, then travels west to the Kimberley, chasing the elusive barramundi along the Ord River. From here, it's on to the mysterious Bungle Bungle. Then through the Wild West Kimberley to the friendly town of Broome. Inland at Marble Bar, the hottest place in Australia, modern-day prospectors strike it rich. This is a journey full of excitement and drama. Be sure to watch part 2 of Beyond Highway Number 1 with Malcolm Douglas.